across the pavement, hoping it'll cave in and swallow me whole. Wonder why my mind keeps on spinning. This isn't how living to me was told.
And sisters, I appreciate your patience. When you look up and you see media propaganda and movies that they putting out about gravity, you know, the new movie that they had, you look at all of these commercials that they got where the astronauts in space drinking the Heineken or whatever they doing to promote space. It's all an agenda. They have to create outer space on TV and in the textbooks because you can't confirm it, but they have to make it real in your mind. NASA gets about $19 billion a year from a program that we can't really confirm. That money really can help our society and change our children's future. We really need to question that part of the budget. That can be the liberation everyone seek all in one program. We don't understand how NASA is the elite's cash cow and at the forefront of all ideology and grand deception and one of the most lucrative programs in our government budget. So in this collage, what you're looking at is one thing that I want you to realize when we deal with flat earth is that, as I told you in previous videos, water does not bend. Water never curves. And I dare any globe earther to do an experiment showing us an example of how water can curve. Okay, you can put water in a balloon, but it's not curving. It's just fitting the shape of its container. If you bust the balloon, water's gonna do what it do. Okay, water conforms to whatever container you put it in, but that's not curving. We're talking about when we deal with a spherical globe, bent water that's holding the form of a ball. People, if you try to put water on a ball, it'll just run down a ball and drip off the ball. We understand this law that we see in our very reality. Why do we take it from these liars? Water never curves. It always finds its level, and no one has been able to prove that water curves. Please, people, understand that water don't curve. See, and it goes back to what I mean about gravity. It goes back to what I mean about the grand deception when I say they rule you by the cosmology. If you accept their cosmology, you accept the idea that water curves. So that makes you deny the truth about your reality. You're denying the truth about the creation, which means you're denying the truth about the creator. This is the grand deception. This is how space programs of the world convince the masses in every continent to deny the truth about the creator by denying the truth about the creation and getting you to deny your own God-given senses. How did the ancestors know more about the cosmos than what NASA is telling us today without all the stupid technology they so-called got? It was by trusting their God-given senses, but once NASA get you to deny those God-given senses, not only do you deny God, nothing will make sense to you once those senses are denied. So understand that water never curves, and if someone try to stand up there and explain to you how water curves, it won't make sense because they're denying their senses. They want to believe this lie, but you have to accept the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Water never curves. Only thing that will make water curve is the theory of gravity, but again, gravity is a theory and no ocean is curved. No curve can be detected. Okay, it's all theory. We've been lied to, people. It's been proven that there's no curvature nowhere to be found on this earth, brothers and sisters. If sheep could vote, they'd pick the guy who feeds them, even if it's the same person who will slaughter them later. And now that's very deep right there when we talk about this grand deception that humanity is under. And one thing I wanted to point out is that the term globe earther is really obsolete. When you think about it, there is no globe earther anymore ever since Neil deGrasse Tyson suggested that the earth is a pear. He said that the earth is a pear. NASA is accepting the idea that it's a pear. The textbooks probably will be rewritten in the future, and the globe earth that you see spun around on the desk in classrooms is going to be a pear in the future. You cannot continue to hold on to the idea of a globe when the people who gave you the idea told you now that their science no longer can support the idea of the globe. In fact, that they got to make it pear-shaped in order to support their bogus theories now, and it still don't quite support. So now we got a pear-shaped planet doing a figure 8 through the cosmos, and it just don't make no sense, globe earther or pear-shaped earther. My advice to all globe earthers before you go any further in promoting the globe is to come to grasp and look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, is the earth a perfect globe or is it pear-shaped? Because those in power who control your your science and who gave you this globe concept, they ditched it and they embraced the pear-shaped earth. So if you're still a diehard globe head, I really salute you. That says a lot to still hold on to something that the people who gave you said they can no longer support. Says a lot not only about your ego, but the level humanity is under. We're really failing our children. Let's move on. Let's just talk about the ancient cosmology for a minute and get an idea in our head of it. Many people aren't aware of it. I'm using this collage for a reason because this is the ancient Mayan cosmos. And if you look at it, you notice where the earth plane is. They call it the tree of life. This is the same concept we see in the Dogon Kanunga in the right. But what we want to deal with is that when we talk about the tree of life, this is the same concept we get in the Garden of Eden. I went over this in previous videos. I recommend you really go through the playlist from video 1 and work your way to the end to be thorough. So when you look at this Mayan cosmos, when we talk about the tree of life, we're talking about the North Pole. That's what we're talking about. Now, on the far right of this collage, these last two images you see is NASA deception. You notice that these pictures are computer images that they tell us they find this type of stuff in space. They tell us they find these perfect geometric shapes floating around in this chaotic void of darkness they give us. But what they doing is they're playing with ancient matriarch cosmology. And what this does, when you understand as a human being, you are a multidimensional creature and that reincarnation is indeed real. When you understand that part of you regaining your cosmic memory is discarding the lies you were giving and being on a constant quest for truth, question everything. Now, when you look at these images NASA give you, these images resonate with you. You know these images. Your soul are familiar with these shapes. It speaks to the subconscious mind, and this is part of the grand deception. This is why the Vatican deal with a lot of symbols when you deal with religion. And this is why they have a big relationship with NASA, because when you deal with cosmology, you deal with symbols. Just like when you look at our ancient Mayan ancestors' cosmology, it's a depiction that we find what they drew around the walls. They drew this image of the cosmos based upon observing their surrounding, and it comes to find out they were accurate. Our ancestors were very divine, very smart people, and all of them had this same design that the Mayan had. Like I said, this later became corrupted in religion. So to hide the truth, they have to corrupt it behind different stories with the image. When you hear Tree of Life, you think Garden of Eden, you think of a bunch of baloney that they give you. You go into science class and you accept their cosmology. It hides this from you. And then NASA give you images like this on the far right, which further hides the cosmology. So if you see this image on the far right, it's called the cosmic eye, and the one left of that is the symbol that CBS, I believe, used. But you notice the football shape in the middle. It's the same thing they give us for the storm on Jupiter, the red spot on Jupiter. It's this football shape. This is what you get when you combine two arches. So this goes back to ancient matriarch cosmology, as I explained in previous videos. As you can see, it's the same thing we get in our ancient ancestors' cosmos when the underworld combines with the heavens above. The midpoint created is the earth plane where we see the tree of life flowing, and this energy makes a figure 8, as you can see in this cosmic eye that NASA is deceiving us with. But I pointed out the football in the middle that represents the earth plane. A lot of people who accept the heliocentric cosmos, when they talk about dimensions, they talk about dimensions as these places that exist beyond the bounds of darkness somewhere, and it's just a bunch of spookism. But really what you're looking at in the ancient Mayan cosmos is what's called the cosmic egg, or the tree of life, or the earth is actually a result of all of the dimensions interwoven together. That's where you get the term multidimensional from. If the dimensions were separated, that's not multidimensional, people. So we live in a multidimensional reality, meaning that the ground beneath your feet stretches on throughout the infinite cosmos. It's the earth plane. That's two-dimensional. And these dimensions are woven upon each other and build up to create a reality that we experience today. So the ground beneath your feet and the particle world we can look at as the fifth dimensional world, or the particle world that makes up your atmosphere and all of the lighter realms above the heavenly realms. And if you look at the more solid realms, the buoyant force of nature separates all things in a stack based on their own density. So gravity is an illusion because birds break the law of gravity every day. Something like a small pebble would sink to the bottom of the ocean, but something heavy like a ship can sail on the ocean and not sink based on the laws of nature. And you understanding those laws, that a simple light gas can make something heavy like a ship float and break the laws of so-called gravity, because the only thing there is buoyant force. All objects and creatures, solid, liquid, gas, exist on a state of existence based on their level of density. And just like if you put a bunch of different objects in a cup, they will separate themselves based on density. If you put like oil in a cup with some rock sediments and different elements in a cup and stir it up, they would actually separate and settle based on their own density. And that's what we have in the cosmic egg. When we speak of dimensions or elements, we're talking about the building blocks of all there is, okay? So what makes up this reality that we're calling Earth is a result of all of these dimensions and elements being combined. Sort of like the Captain Planet concept, where you combine all of these elements and you get one creature, or the Power Rangers concept. That's what creates existence. If you take one of these dimensions away, it all falls apart. So it's a multi-dimensional symbiotic existence where everything is part of the existence and everything plays a role in the existence and can't be separated from the existence, because we all come from the source or the creator of the existence. So the creator can't be separate from any of its creations, which is us, every particle in existence. You know, the creator created it and it can never be separated. So each person's life is an experience of the creator. You're not experiencing your life alone. The creator cannot be separate from you, the creation that it created. Therefore, it experiences its creation through all things. The creator is constantly creating and understanding its own creation through the creation. It's a continuum, as above, so below. The creator is all knowing, but yet knows nothing when you deal with a baby that's being born. So it's a yin and a yang, a cosmic law, a duality that makes an eternal trinity. And when you look at this midpoint in the Mayan cosmos, the earth represent where the S would be in the middle of a yin yang. That's the place where it all happens when you combine those dimensions. The idea of space and the idea of separate dimensions we have to discard, as well as the idea of evolution. A grand deception, why the Vatican works hand in hand with NASA, and why evolution agenda is so important to seed in the minds of humanity. It all seeds racial division. It all seeds a world of chaos that we see today. So what you're looking at now is just a little collage of ancient cosmology. It's not chaotic like the one we've been given. So in moving on to evolution, how does cosmology ties into evolution? Well, at the root of all heliocentric solar systems that's dominated by suns, heliocentrism equals sun worship and paganism. This is how they rule over their masses in this type of society. Understanding how it all ties into evolution is to understand that one way they tell us we evolved was from monkeys, but you must understand that the deception of the monkey comes from the oldest bones that were found, called Lucy. These bones were called Lucy, and they were of a Negro woman, and they call Negro people monkeys and apes. So the idea that we evolved from monkeys come from this desecration. They don't want to give us the true history that we come from a society of women. Women overpopulate the planet more than men by a big number. It's amazing. It's something like 8-1. X chromosome is older than the Y chromosome. There's a lot we got to look at when we discuss evolution. The concept of the Immaculate Conception puts us right in line with a divine feminine creator who created this cosmic egg with intelligence and love. But the concept of a heliocentric solar system, everything is created out of black holes. Even the Milky Way galaxy is supposedly controlled by a center black hole. Even there's one supposedly at the center of this so-called solar system. But people, you really got to understand that black holes are a theory, and there are no facts to support a black hole. And when you start to question them, you realize that they are just science fiction, that the science fields have become to accept in theoretical equations and everything today, and it feeds the propaganda and the markets, and especially the fear markets. So a lot of this stuff is spookism. If you really believe in black holes in the sense that they tell us, understand that that belief is simply a belief. It's not a fact, okay? It's all theoretical. And these are worlds that are created out of black holes. They equate the void of space as a vacuum of nothingness. The math does not support our reality. So this all leads into science fiction and different movies we see in Hollywood where they enter black holes and end up in different universes and different portals and stuff. There's no real facts and math to support this science fiction, guys. No matter how much Neil deGrasse Tyson said, or no matter how much NASA promoted, it's still theoretical, it's still science fiction. And the grand deception is what I'm telling you. You're not getting science from your government and your space agencies. You're getting pseudoscience. You're getting black hole talk, and they're giving you pictures and computer images. But none of us are going up there to see a black hole. Why don't we have a black hole footage that we can see? And they're giving you fake footage that they making people. We giving them $19 billion a year, and they're creating illusions with green screen. You really need to look at some of these videos out here. There's some in the description link that expose the use of green screen and how NASA is deceiving us in that area. Check out the description links. But guys, we are feeding into the illusion. The Matrix is the world NASA is creating for you, okay? It's based on theories, not facts. What is this dark energy? Everything is created out of these black holes, which are portals. When you fly into these things, you go to different universes, but yet they are sucking in different universes, and different universes are being birthing out of them. And then when you go into them, it's a time portal and it's wormholes, and it's a bunch of science fiction, and it's stargates and all of this kind of talk. We got to get out of the illusion, people. There's no map, there's no science to support this spookism, people. I do this from the bottom of my heart. This is madness, but we got to move on. And this is all dealing with evolution here, because here's the thing: when we talk about evolution and us coming from a big bang and all of that, we don't see this in our reality. Here's a picture in front of your face that explains what I'm talking about. It's a starfish fossil. It say, but that's not all we see. Here's a starfish fossil said to be 100 to 150 million years old. But guess what? It's still the same as the starfish we see today. So as I said, nothing is changing but the perception of humanity based on the deceivers in power. Okay, our world is the same beautiful, serene planet that all of the ancient ancestors enjoyed, but we can't enjoy it today based on the manipulation of our perception. We are slaves, consumers, and we actually will fight to uphold the very lies that keeps us in bondage. So in this next picture right here, it's from Albert Einstein, and it says, the more I study science, the more I believe in God. This is the same man that created E equals MC squared. There is a lot of metaphysical significance to E equals MC squared when you understand that Albert Einstein was aware of ancient cosmology. You won't understand the grand deception until you understand ancient cosmology. So later here, I'm going to show you what he mean when he say, the more I study science, the more I believe in God. Why? Because the more you begin to research, you understand that what we see in our reality cannot be the result of a mishap. There is an intelligent force in charge of this creation, and anything that'll make you deny that is foolish. And that exactly explains why the Vatican and NASA work hand in hand to convince you all that everything is the result of a mishap, and it hides the true intelligent creator that's in control. The true creator never left us and never gone anywhere. It's your perception. It's our perception that's being controlled by these manipulators, creating this chaotic reality that we're living out based on our ideologies that we're injecting in to our psyche. Okay, and the children perpetuate this madness because they're given these same idiotic concepts from these same cold, evil people who understand the art of war, who understand ancient cosmology, and they use it to manipulate and deceive and further control the masses. But Brother Sanchez is here just like Morpheus, and every last one of us is a Morpheus, and we need to go out there and unlock as many of these people as possible from from their sleep and slumber so that they can become like Neo and eventually like Morpheus. Like I said, E equals MC squared. Now this go back to the matriarch cosmology that I keep breaking down to you guys. When we talk about the matriarch cosmology, one famous goddess that we have is the mother goddess Kali, who carried the trident. This trident was later given to different mythological Roman gods, and it was desecrated and hid with pagan deities. I get into that on a lot of videos, so explore the channel. I want to talk to you now about the metaphysics of this equation. See, what you're looking at is just symbols. All these symbols you see, E equals MC squared, is really, my brothers and sisters, glyphs. And what I'm going to do is break down to you what this means. When you square the E, you get the kananga. That's what happens when you square the E. When you square the E, you get the H, the symbol for eternity. E plus E equals 8. E plus E equals Dogon Kananga. All of this is the yin yang, or the symbol of eternity. As I tell you guys, there's only one code to this cosmic egg, and that is as above, so below, or E equals MC squared, which has nothing to do with the mumbo jumbo they give you with it. It really is balance, because when you take those E's and square them again, you get all of the symbols for balance. And I have future videos coming up that's gonna decode the English language and break the spell of the English curse and give us back the Medunetta and show you guys how to decode all the alphabets and numbers as symbols. That's gonna be very important for your growth, my brothers and sisters, so please stay tuned. So the description below just show you a little bit of what I mean when I say what happens when you square the E. Now the M is nothing but another E, so this is an example of what I mean by that. The E is the 3. Why? Because the E is the symbol for eternity. That's why it's eternity. When you say eternity, you really are saying E-Trinity. What is the E-Trinity? When you look at the letter E, it's actually a trident. That trident is the balance scales, aka the yin-yang, that's carried by the mother goddess Kali. Also, the Adidas symbol is the letter E. This is all the trident, my brothers and sisters. It's symbols, and you have to learn to see through the deception, okay, and go back to the ancient way of viewing your reality, because this is how they hiding it from you. They give you the theories, okay? They will give you this equation and give you a bunch of mumbo jumbo, a theory with it, and that theory is your God, because again, the root word of theory is theo. So that theory begin to guide you. It guides what you see when you look at this formula, and it hides the truth that I just revealed to you, that it's all glyphs, okay? Because when you square the E, again, you get all the symbols for eternity, which is E-Trinity, because the letter E is nothing but a trident. And when you look at the M, you're just looking at another trident. And when you look at the C, you're looking at the arch, which represents the mother, or God, where the Most High sit above the dome. Okay, that's all you're looking at when you look at the C. And as you can see, the mother also carries a hook or arch in her hands. Okay, that represents that vortex energy that she used to hook you back around with. In a lot of symbols, you will see her using this for justice. That means that if she weigh your heart with the trident and it don't balance out, then she hooked your head off. That was just the ancient story. But what it means is that you have to go back and learn that lesson again through karma. Every lifetime is an experience. That's the truth about evolution, not that we come from monkey people. Now I'm gonna be getting into that deep on this channel, okay? Stay tuned. So Einstein knew something. That's why he said the more he studied science, the more he believed in God. But he was paid off to deceive the masses based on an image that was given to him. And there's a lot of people like Stephen Hawking and your modern day people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye and all of these people who are paid off to deceive the masses. They're no different than your Christian pastors, T.D. Jakes and all of these guys, Creflo Dollar, because when we talk science, we are talking religion. We're talking ideology and belief systems. Keep that in mind about E equals MC squared. That's all you looking at, people. It's all about the Trinity. The duality is what creates the Trinity. So this next collage is another form of evolution that they give us, and it's desecration and also racism. As you can see, it starts off with an ape or a chimpanzee named Lucy, and it comes all the way up to modern man, where you can see at the bottom, this is not the nature of our reality. This is blasphemy. This is racism. The first bones found was Negroid woman. Women predate men. As I said, the Immaculate Conception has truth to it. All men come from mothers. All women come from mothers today. The female creature is the life-bringing creature on the planet. That's why we say Mother Nature. That's why we say Mother Earth. But somehow we say say father when we deal with the creator of it all, and that's a result of heliocentrism and false ideologies that was seeded into your mind as a child that you never knew was there as an adult. We don't discard them all, and we're being ruled, but we don't know it based on our beliefs and our perception that we've been given by those in power. They've shaping our reality for us. So even though it's not what we see outside with our real lives, we accept the reality that they give us on the TV and in the fake textbooks, and we ignore the real reality, okay? We ignore even our own senses, okay? So evolution is baloney, people, and it's actually blasphemous. So just a quote from Richard Dawkins: I am against religion because it teaches us to be satisfied with not understanding the world. That can be said true for religion, but it also can be said true for today's modern science as well, because the science that they give us, it does not give us an accurate understanding of our reality. That's why it's rooted in theories. So it's the same as the religion, where you may have a Genesis story, it's susceptible to belief. It's the same thing in a theoretical science world, where all theories are subject to either you believe them or not. Neil deGrasse Tyson even said it himself that it's true whether you believe it or not. But the tricky thing is that you don't have to believe truth. In fact, it's impossible to believe truth. You can only know truth. So anything that can be believed or not believed is not truth. It's simply a work that needs to be put in the court of law and tested. For example, if you believe that there's treasure under your house, you can have that belief for the rest of your life, but it'll never be a fact, and it'll never make it true that there's treasure under your house. You would have to get off your behind and do some digging and confirm if there's treasure under your house or not. And if you see treasure, then it's a fact. It's no longer a belief that there's treasure there. When you find a treasure, you no longer will say, I believe there's treasure under my house. You will now say, I know there's treasure under my house. And why do you know it? Because you can prove it. You see the evidence. You did the digging. You never stop in a state of belief. It's okay to believe something, but you only believe it until you can know it. And you wake up every day doing experiments trying to prove it so you can get out of that state of belief into the state of knowing. Belief is only the midway point. Now, when they get the whole world stuck in belief, they hide the facts from the planet. So this is very deep information, brothers and sisters. Believing is not knowing. No one believes 2 + 2 is 4. We all know that 2 + 2 is 4. Okay, so there's a big difference between believing and knowing. Believing is something that you just do until you know. Okay, so if I believe something, and it's just my belief until I can prove it to be a fact. But your whole science and
you can easily bend the limbs, but when that tree gets deep rooted and grows, if you try to bend the limb, it'll break. And so you're looking at these baby boomers, and the coding and programming is so embedded in them for so many years that it's they've become rooted trees. They've grown and they've got stiff bark, and you can't really bend those limbs. They'll just snap. And a lot of them aren't ready for that information. So you have to just, when I tell people who always ask me, how do I get my family members to wake up, and I said, you just be the light. You just do what you do. Don't put pressure on them. Every now and then you may drop a gentle seed, and that's about it. And just let them look at your life and how you're moving. Eventually they may start to ask some questions. Right. And then you can answer the question and walk away. Don't go too deep again. Just a little bit at baby steps, a little bit at a time. Some of them will come along, some of them may not. Just be happy and that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're finding yourself. And then others will also see how you're moving and how you're living through this matrix. And then they will then begin to ask you questions. And some people will jump right on in with you, full blown. Some people will take time. It's a gradual process, but like you said, you can't overdo it.
Everybody's in their own game.
Yeah,
exactly. Lead
that's
by
right.
example. Just lead by example. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If it's
right,
like,
and you know them by their fruit.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
It's like, did we miss that message? Like, you know people by their fruit, meaning their actions show you who they are.
Exactly.
So that whole I'm woke because you. So here it is. Let's go back. I was about to go full into that, which is, okay, you got the information, you got all his knowledge. Neo, when he went, he got into the chair, got the thing plugged into him, and he was sitting there for hours just downloading information, right? And he said, and he told Morpheus, I know Kung Fu. Morpheus said what? Show me.
Right.
Oh, right. You know? Show me.
Exactly.
Right. It's the action that proves it.
So he went in that simulation again, showing me new Kung Fu. And what did Morpheus do? He whipped his ass.
Yep. Beat him down.
He beat him down. He's training him the whole way. Yeah, you learn some information, but you can't apply it.
Until you apply that information, it's not real. It's not in this realm. It doesn't exist. It just exists in your mind.
Yes.
Until you apply it.
Absolutely. That happens to me all the time. People come to church.